Well, since 1987, local quilt makers have held an annual showcase to celebrate both the traditional and modern versions of the craft. Here to tell us about it is Alison McConoughey, chair of Quiltfest Jacksonville. Good morning, Alison. We're also joined by Janis Turecky, the event's community service chair. Good morning,
Good
Janis.
morning.
And Randy Powers with All Star Quilters Guild. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
So, Randy, I'm just going to start with you because, I don't know that you fit my idea of a traditional quilter. I'm not necessarily deep into the world of quilting, but I think we have this idea of who's a quilter and who's not. And you are in this world. How did you get involved?
My father was a coal miner in the state of West Virginia, and he developed emphysema and black lung, and he had to retire early medically. And there was 7 children in the house, and my mother made quilts, and I helped my mother.
Wow. That's a fascinating backstory. And how old were you when you began?
I was like 9 years old,
Okay.
and this was the story. I graduated from high school, and my friends did not even know I quilted because it was not popular for guys to sew.
Sure. And were you immediately skillful at it?
My mother worked with me because, she did the quilting and I basically designed the quilt patterns and made patterns for her.
Hmm.
So a lot of our patterns came from coloring books.
Yeah. Allison, let's just define kind of what is a quilt.
Well, typically it's kind of that sandwich where you have the back and you've got the batting in the middle and you've got some kind of top that's been pieced on top. So we use the word quilt for a lot of different things. We say, "Oh, I'm quilting," and you're really just piecing the fabric pieces together.
Batting is like the
The
stuffing that makes it
stuffing.
fluffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we say it's quilting when you actually the sewed lines that are going over that are actually connecting those three.
And so obviously Randy is sort of a traditional, perhaps, quilter, but describe to us the community of people who are involved in quilting.
It's people younger than me, people much older. I mean, that's what we typically think about with the community of quilters is a older generation, but it's a lot more younger now. I think millennials especially like that.
What appeals to people who are coming into it?
It's just a good cozy hobby, you know. You do it on your own schedule, do it on your own time, and then you have this tangible thing afterwards, and you could have it for yourself or gift it.
How does it compare in terms of like a degree of difficulty when it comes to other things like knitting or, like what do you call the rug hooking?
Crochet,
Yeah,
yeah.
any of that stuff.
I think it's as difficult as you want to make it. You know, you
Okay.
could just be doing straight lines, and you can make beautiful things out of just straight lines every day. You could get into art quilting where you're putting tiny little pieces of fabric together and learning the long arm and all these technical things. It's as easy or complicated as you want it to be.
So people watching our live stream, they'll be able to see some of these quilts. They are really extraordinarily beautiful. They are very detailed. They're really colorful. Um, Janice, you handle the community service aspect of 7 guilds in this area, 7 quilting guilds. And for the upcoming Quilt Fest, you kind of oversee the community service element. How important is that charitable function for this annual event?
Very important.
Mhm.
I believe that most people have that community service inside them somewhere that they want to give. And it's difficult to figure out how to do that because each of us has our own likes. We all have our own talents. So whenever you give something to the community, whether it be local or whether it be international, it sort of fills that little desire we have in us. It's very important.
And so the charities specifically this year that you've chosen are Quigley House and Betty Griffin House, which are both resources for people who have been victimized by domestic violence. Um, but the charities that the various guilds service, have a really broad footprint. And I'm curious what it is about, quilts. I mean, a lot of the ones that you make and manufacture and that you brought in today
Mhm.
are to help people who are going through some sort of crisis, whether it's a medical issue that they're having or some sort of loss that they've suffered. What is it about a quilt in particular that is comforting?
The warmth. Also, too, knowing that whoever made that quilt put love in it
Hmm.
and wanted to give it to help whatever you were going through, that particular person is going through. It's very comforting.
You also make things that are very specific to need. One of the items that you brought in today is built specifically to help people with like a drainage port after surgery, which is a very specific item. It's
Correct.
a way to kind of hide what they've got to carry around with them. So how do those ideas percolate up?
Needs.
Mhm.
Like in our guild, we saw that there were women who were going through breast cancer surgeries, and they, instead of hanging it around their neck, which is very cumbersome, we decided that one lady in our guild said, "Hey, we can make these aprons, and they can hide it under their blouses,
Mm.
and they can go wherever they want to, and no one will know that they've got a port in them."
Yeah.
So need.
Ingenious.
Uh-huh.
I want to ask you, Randy, because you do a quilt benefit for veterans groups. Tell us about that um, kind of beneficiary, that organization, and why it is that kind of the same thing I was asking Janice, but what it is about a quilt that conveys kind of additional meaning.
Ma'am, I just did a ceremony in the state of West Virginia, and I presented 8 veterans with quilts, and they had altars on both sides of the church. And when I went in just a little bit early and I laid the quilts out on the altar, it like it electrified the atmosphere. And there was such a level of excitement to this because a lot of our veterans come back, they don't feel like they've done anything. And especially our Vietnam veterans, when they came home, they had no recognition. And the tears, when you work with these people, the tears, they just are so grateful that we work with them. And you're talking about the quilts, there's such an art that goes into these. And even some of the simple quilts, but some of the quilts they're getting into is like with the modern quilts and different things, there's such an art that goes into these quilts. And the colors in them really speak to their heart.
Yeah.
The colors are just so vivid for them, and it's amazing what it does to warm their heart. You can go in and say words, and you can say thank you, and the thank you doesn't seem like it's enough. But when you present them a beautiful quilt, it solidifies. You're grateful to them, and this is something they can carry with them. And I worked with children before too, with terminally ill children. And when these families get these quilts, they bond with these quilts.
Mm-hmm.
I made one quilt for a family. They didn't think the child would make it. And it was, they had the child for 2 years and the child passed away. And I got the note back, said, we would never destroy or get rid of this quilt because this is our child. We can hold our child every day in memory of them, So the art and the colors, it's amazing what it does for them.
Yeah, it's so powerful to be able to kind of be a part of somebody's process and their life like that. The artistry of quilts really has been getting additional recognition. I mean, last year we did a segment on the Comer, which had this amazing American arts quilt exhibit, which just really elaborate stuff. Is the stuff that you present on that level in some cases? Does it get that complex?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on that level. But at Quiltfest itself, I mean, you'll see everything from someone's very first quilt that they've ever made, and they're just excited to put it in and show it. And you'll see people that have done this for 20 years, and it's just a masterpiece. That absolutely, some of the quilts that were at Quiltfest last year, they do go to different museums and shows around.
Wow.
That our creators are asked around.
So there are, for people who go, there's some very interesting hands-on stuff that they can do. First of all, there is a sewing segment where people can actually try their hand at making a quilt. And there's also an opportunity for people who have quilts that may have been in the family for a really long time to bring them in and get them appraised, which I think is very interesting. So talk a little bit about those two things that are available. This is, a family event, obviously people can come to, but there's some things that they really might get something out of.
Yeah. Our judge, all of the quilts that go in, they're judged and there's prizes, but that judge then is at the show and you can pay for her to appraise the quilt. And I mean, if you want to sell it or you just curious, but she's certified and she does all the appraising. And I think that's really cool that you can have an idea of the value, because we don't see that a lot. You put all the money to the fabric and the time and everything, but the value that comes out of that art piece is totally different than what you
Do you
put
think
in.
that people who are able to try their hand at it are instant converts? Is it something that is appealing to young people when they're able to see that they can create this, or is the level of difficulty something that they have to really get beyond?
I don't think it's difficulty. I think it's just time.
Mhm.
And if you want to put the time. When I first started, I very rarely had time raising a toddler and working, right? So kitchen table with a sewing machine, I made a quilt maybe once a year, right? Or one a year. And now I can do a lot more. So whatever you want to put your time on and hobbies and everything, that's all it is. Yeah.
And Janice, so there's going to be a number of quilts on display, more than a couple hundred?
Oh,
Yeah, like 400.
about 400,
Okay.
yeah, if not more.
And then there's at least one per guild that's on auction. Is that right? Or for-
Yes, you can go to the Quilt Guild tables up front, and each Quilt Guild will go ahead and give you an idea of what they do in their particular guild and what community service they do in their particular guild, and then they'll have the quilt up in the back, and you can purchase a chance for that opportunity quilt if you'd like.
And I was surprised to see that there's actually 7 sister guilds in
Yes.
this area. So
Mhm.
which one's best?
Modern.
Oh, sorry.
Friendship.
I guess you're going to come at it with different
That's right.
perspectives.
A lot of people join multiple guilds because
Yeah.
they all offer different things.
And
so.
do you kind of get together and do quilting together, or is it something you do on your own and then just kind of get together and socialize?
Both. The
Mhm.
meetings are more focused on what's going on, what are we doing, let's convey that information and be together. But we do have sit and sew days. Most every guild has that, where a specific day that you can bring your stuff and come. And so a lot of guilds put on retreats where we all get together. And so people, yeah. Quilting is so communal. It's impossible to not want to get together at
Yeah.
some point.
And the theme this year is color, and so I'm guessing there's really going to be some arresting and kind of eye-popping designs to check out.
Eye
Yeah.
candy.
Eye candy. All right. Excellent. Well, Quiltfest Jacksonville is September 18th and 19th from 9 to 5. It's September 20th from 9 to 4, and it's at the Prime Osborne.
Yeah.
So information's available at quiltfestjacks.com. Randy Powers, Janis Turecky, Alison McConoughey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Up next, lace up your shoes. We explore a special live edition of The Neighborhood with Mr. Al Pete.